This is a New Year's story about a deer and 99 nights in the forest. Wrap yourself in a blanket and listen. The calendar pinned to the cabin wall read December 31st. Beneath it, scratched out in hurried pencil, was night 47. Liam and Chloe had survived nearly 50 nights in this accursed forest. 47 nights of the generator's whine, the oppressive fog, and the constant, gnawing fear of the deer. Tonight, though, felt different. It was New Year's Eve, a night for resolutions, for new beginnings. Here, it felt like the opposite, a countdown to something final. The air was unusually still, even for this place. No wind rattled the skeletal branches, no distant howls from lesser predators. Just a heavy, expectant silence that pressed in on the cabin. 1 minute to midnight, Chloe whispered, her voice barely audible over the thrumming generator. She clutched a rusty machete, her knuckles white. Liam held his own crude spear, its tip sharpened with a whetstone he'd found in a forgotten toolbox. They stood at the reinforced front window, peering out into the swirling, spectral mist. The perimeter lights cast an anemic glow, barely penetrating the gloom. "Do you think it'll be different tonight?" Liam asked, the question feeling hollow even as he spoke it. Every night was a variation on the same theme, survival. A low, guttural growl rumbled through the ground, vibrating up through their boots. It wasn't the usual shriek. This was deeper, more ancient. Then, at the very edge of the clearing, where the fog was thickest, a form began to coalesce. It was the deer, larger than they had ever seen it. Its antlers, usually gnarled and dark, shimmered with an eerie, phosphorescent green, casting sickly shadows that danced on the cabin walls. But it wasn't just its size or the glowing antlers that made their blood run cold. It was what it was doing. Instead of its usual predatory stance, the deer stood perfectly upright, its bipedal form more pronounced than ever. Its head, with those abyssal, glowing green fissures for eyes, was tilted to the side, almost observing them. As the generator light flickered precariously, they saw it. Streaks of what looked like dried mud or ancient blood ran down its monstrous face, carving unsettling patterns. And on its chest, carved into its unnatural hide, was a symbol they vaguely recognized from the faded, torn maps they'd found. An eye within a jagged triangle, the mark of the old forest spirits, the ones who were said to demand sacrifices on the turning of the year. The digital clock Liam had somehow kept working on his wrist flipped to 00:00. New Year. At that exact moment, the deer let out a sound that wasn't a roar, or a shriek, or a whisper. It was a mournful, drawn-out bellow, like a dying church bell, a sound filled with unimaginable sorrow and a profound, chilling hunger. The fog outside the cabin swirled violently, parting just enough to reveal something new. Not another deer or a wolf, but a dozen sets of glowing green eyes, emerging from the mist, surrounding the deer like a macabre congregation. Smaller, but no less terrifying. The fawn, the buck, the doe. All the terrifying forms they'd encountered, now united. The deer extended one long, bony arm, pointing directly at their cabin. Its glowing eyes seemed to lock onto Liam, then Chloe. And then, in a voice that was no longer a bellow, but a chorus of whispering, hungry voices that echoed in their minds, it spoke. A new year, a new offering. The ground beneath the cabin began to shake. The perimeter lights exploded in a shower of sparks, plunging the clearing into absolute darkness, save for the dozen pairs of glowing green eyes that now moved in unison, slowly, inexorably, toward their sanctuary. This wasn't just another night. This was the night the deer unveiled its family, its true dominion. And Liam and Chloe knew, with a certainty that froze their souls, that this new year would be their last.